Bienvenidos, Freight fans. Welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Jaime and Fuego, and we are here at Geek Day for the Phoenix Film Festival 2018 because we are here covering the International Horror Sci-Fi Film Festival and also sneaking in a few other things when we can, one of which being this interview that I've actually talked to this gentleman before, Mr. Shelby Robertson, American Discord. I talked to you, dude, like 3, maybe 4 years ago when I was first breaking into press for Heavy Metal Television, and we talked about your art and stuff, and I proceeded to give this man my money because I loved his stuff so much. I still have the Scorpion and the Sub-Zero seated above me, hanging in my living room. I love your stuff, man, and I'm glad to be able to talk about you on another outlet.
Excellent.
Yeah. So how?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, so it was a long time ago. So thankfully, we won't remember anything we talked about. Hopefully.
I don't remember any of it. I remember you. I don't remember the content.
Yeah, well, that's actually good then. So this will be fresh, which is sweet. So I see lots of comic book stuff, obviously, but here on the Horror Show, we do tend to lean towards the darker side of things. You've got some rad alien stuff, a xenomorph to be specific, Predator. Obviously, the Pennywise, the one that you did for the new film, looks very detailed.
Yeah,
what's your horror history a little bit, man? I mean, is it a genre that you really enjoy, or are you more so like a little bit of everything?
Actually, I believe the horror genre is more of my forte as far as what I excel at. I grew up, Freddy Krueger is always my number one horror villain.
Same here.
Yeah, like really, I just, I kind of swayed towards the superhero bit because of sales, really.
Yeah, it sells well. I'd imagine Deadpool and Batman and all this stuff, which it's just as detailed and awesome in my opinion.
Right, but I've always been more attracted to the grittier approach. Just the stories kind of capture a little bit more for me with the horror, the slasher stuff. So nice. I just find it a little more interesting. Superhero stuff can become a little bit vanilla and cookie cutter, and the slasher stuff tends to be a little more creative.
Nice.
Yeah.
So obviously Freddy being your favorite slasher,
absolutely.
Is there another genre that you like besides slasher stuff? I mean, like Creature or?
I like the Creature stuff is fun. The sci-fi stuff is fun, but sci-fi to me that's fun is more like, the Alien or Event Horizon type things.
Event Horizon.
They kind of border on horror. Mm-hmm. They're not really. It's the darker the better, I guess.
Yeah, anytime you have horror elements in space for me, dude, it's just like my mind is blown most of the time.
Right. Yeah, rainbow and lollipops isn't my genre.
No, definitely not. Although I'm sure you could still draw it good, man.
It'd probably be dark.
Put that dark little spin on it.
A lot of red, yeah. So.
Nice. So I see the comic books here, and that was something that I wanted you to expound upon a little bit for us. So I see like these awesome metal variant kind of things. So comic book work as well as just prints, right? To kind of clarify for the audience.
Yeah, I'm actually 20-something odd year comic. I don't want to call myself a veteran. I've been in the industry for over 20 years.
I'd say that classifies, dude.
Veteran just it sounds old. So, and I don't feel like I'm old. So
seasoned, yes.
I'm well seasoned.
Yes.
A little bit of white pepper. I like pepper on mac and cheese.
There you go. Get some spice with the cheese, yo.
Spicy. I like my mac spicy. But yeah, the comic books, all the books that I have here at today's event, they're all my 94 comic.
Is that drawn in and written by you?
Yeah, pretty much everything about it is me. A couple of the issues, I had some assistance with digital coloring on the interiors. But yeah, it's just, the book is literally just an homage to myself. I felt like doing something for myself that was kind of a cut loose, no holds barred, let's show how horrible and awesome the 90s were all in one.
That's accurate.
That is also one reason why majority of the covers on this series, I do an homage to a key issue or a very popular issue of something derivative from the 90s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really just, it's my excuse to re-experience everything that I loved and hated about 90s comics at their peak.
Yeah, so the double-edged sword when the industry was getting flooded and everything. And,
yeah, it was flooded. It was right before the balloon popped. It was fun, but the books were fun to me. And plus, I was pretty young and I was getting my first gigs, and so it was exciting to me. Reality hadn't. I was not yet grounded in reality, so. It's just me revisiting
That's sweet, man. Well, I mean, put a new spin on it, and then maybe somebody sees that, and it jogs their memory about other nostalgic bits and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, definitely. My selling point on these is 100% nostalgia-based.
Nice. Those sort of mashups sell well, man, and I mean, I honestly find myself drawn to things like that when I see, a new spin on old ideas that just kind of ring a bell for me.
Right. And some of it I think came across more intentional looking than intended.
Okay.
But yeah, it definitely all has that appeal. I think when you start doing one particular approach to something, all the other dominoes they just kind of fall in line.
Everything in its right place, to quote Trent Reznor.
Right.
Yeah. Well, sweet, dude. I got to say, so you mentioned digital colorization and stuff.
Yes.
Do you start with a hand-drawn process, or do you do everything digitally?
I do very little digitally.
Nice. Old school. Do you see?
Yeah, I like paper.
That's a purist right there.
I like tangible goods.
Yeah.
I like selling original artwork.
I've seen you at Phoenix Comic Fest, whatever the hell they're calling it now.
Comic Fest,
yeah,
yes.
and you're going to be there again this year, I presume, right?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you do lots of traveling to other conventions and whatnot?
I've cut back, yeah. I used to be around the 40 plus range of shows a year. We just decided to cut back and just kind of cut the fat. There are certain shows that used to be great and are now not so great, and vice versa. We just it's all about time management. A lot of when I was just a road warrior I was not getting any artwork done.
The bump and grind of just having to go constantly. When do you have time to sit down and work on new stuff, I'd imagine?
And I started doing a lot of artwork assist, a lot of inking in that on a Deadpool project with Marvel. I started doing a couple image projects as well, and it's just time management. Yeah. It's time management. That's the biggest issue for me.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. That's the issue for most people who are creative. Is just trying to find the time to be creative, and then other time to get your creativity out to its intended audience.
Yes.
And I mean, Image has really been impressing me over the last 5-10 years or so with just the quality of the horror content that they're doing. With their imprint, and I mean, they for me, along with, I mean, I don't know, maybe like an IDW to some degree, but is there a horror comic you kind of feel is in you, like a story or something that you might like to work on, or maybe have you told tales within the constraints of this book?
No, the '94 book is like literally, Mortal Kombat on crack. I mean, it's really what it is.
That sounds great.
But as far as horror concept stuff, I have fleshed out actually quite a few stories. I haven't committed to any of them yet. I have hundreds of stories that I would like to do.
Does it start with an image or with an idea, or
usually? Sometimes it's a concept, and other times I just have a very specific idea for a look of a character, but nothing to go with it.
Gotcha.
I think that all creative types have the same dilemmas with their creations. That might actually require someone else to come on board and do a little bit of creative writing for them.
Yeah.
Other ones I feel overly confident about that I might actually have to pull away and maybe. Kind of stretch the story out, because too much information within a small amount of pages
overstuff the turkey and
right. And then you got stuffing all over the place.
Someone's got to eat it though, right?
In the oven. Yeah. Yes.
Back to our food analogies. I'm loving it. So we always like to at least ask a little bit of a little more horror history. Is there one of the first things that you can think of that scared you as a kid and got you interested in darker stuff?
Zombie films.
Okay.
Yeah, the only
one in particular, or
the original Dawn of the Dead. I was probably 7 or 8, and my grandmother had rented Dawn of the Dead, and
that's some great grandparenting right
there. And she let me stay up and watch it with her, and it scared the hell out of me. And I can't. There's something about zombies I can't do. I can do gore, blood, splatter. Everything, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, we're all pretty desensitized at this point, probably.
Yeah, there's something about zombies that just freak me the hell out. More recently, the movie series that I've really clung on to, because it kind of it really gets under my skin is the Insidious series. I don't know. I know.
Did
people
you see
that,
Less Key, the most recent one?
Yes.
That's the one that I have not seen yet, unfortunately. We had a press conflict, and it just kind of fell through the cracks. But the trailer looked great. Lin Shaye has really brought it in that series for me as an actress, more so than a lot of people probably even anticipated.
Well, without ruining anything for you, the story as a whole, it worked for me. I know other people are. Like, if you're super hypercritical, you're going to have a ton of issues with it. We get to see that, on the daily basis. All you got to do is log into Facebook and, add 50 people in geek culture, and you're going to get 25 people's opinions about
We're a very opinionated
why
bunch,
you should
all of
not
us.
like something or why you should love it. And I'm not that guy. I don't drink the Kool-Aid. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. Insidious was for me, I felt like it was great. All 4 films. I mean, there's definitely things and holes. Whatever. It is what it's a film. It's entertainment. The same could be said about the Nightmare on Elm Street series, which I still watch all the time.
I do too. I love myself some Dream Master, the 4th one, man.
There's some really horrible things in it, and
Freddy's
about
dead.
it,
Ugh.
right?
Terrible.
But I'll still watch it. It is what it is.
Yeah, and
so.
that's where it's often like the type of rose-colored glasses or whatever that you're looking at things through anyway in the first place. I mean, if you set out to hate something or whatever, I mean, look at the most recent Star Wars film, not to get into that, but that was one that everybody was opinionated about, and that's not horror, but that's just the epitome of geek culture to me, is where people want others to think like them, and if they don't, there's like sudden conflict. I think it gives a bad name for people who like any type of genre work, whether it's horror or comic books or sci-fi stuff or whatever.
Right.
So
and that is one thing with being an independent publisher that I appreciate is I actually don't bend to the whim of what other people like.
You don't have to.
I am fortunate
it's freedom,
enough,
man.
Right. I'm fortunate enough though that I tend to bend towards things naturally that people are naturally attracted to. So I'm not I'm not swimming upstream with what I do, but I'm also definitely not going with the current. I'm kind of off on the edge, bumping in the rocks and.
That's a perfect analogy, though, man. Yeah, that is super sweet.
So it's all fun. It's all fun. You get too serious about it, and
you have to have fun
sucks,
with it. Yeah.
It sucks all the fun out of it.
Yeah, and also if you're too deliberate with the creative process, I mean, often things can feel just not very genuine, when it's that heavy-handed, I think.
And that's one reason why I love all things within the horror spectrum is that there's an organicness to it that you don't get from the polished
Sorry,
packaged,
Marvel.
Yeah. Right, and a lot of DC.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, it's that is the nice thing about the independent is that even the cookie cutter superhero stories and things that I do, I still have nuances of like, here's something really dark, by the way. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Right?
You're welcome.
Feel free to complain. Here's my email. And I don't care. It's my book, so I kind of do what I want. I don't really push the envelope, though. I don't try to.
No.
I'm not trying to grab news stories with,
Once again, it's a fine
very
line to straddle, sir.
content.
Yeah. Well, and some people, they just make their living off of that, So
Yes.
I don't know. It's
I've worked with several.
They just love pushing the button, man. Love upsetting people. No, man. Awesome, dude. Well, this was a fun chat, though, and I have to say, is there any new upcoming project or something that you're working on besides your own book or something you'd like to plug?
There's not much coming out that I can divulge.
Oh, I see.
I have a lot. Yes. There is a lot of books that I am self-publishing. It's primarily because I do a lot of my own colors and lettering.
Oh, wow.
I am looking at outsourcing some of my lettering jobs on the books, just for time management. Again, it all comes back to time management.
I always think about that to have your letterer for comic books, like that be like some sort of pro job. It kind of blows my mind. If you got some bomb handwriting, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, all the lettering is digital as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's either Illustrator. I'm gonna give it a shot in the Clip Studio. Clip Studio is the old manga one, which a lot of people work primarily now doing all their line art in Clip Studio, the old manga studio. It's actually a really great program as far as like inking and stuff like that's concerned. But I'm still not. I need to feel that paper under me. Tangible goods.
Yes,
man.
I'm the same way, man. Having tangible things, it's the shelves and shelves of DVDs and stuff I still have. It's my rows and rows of books and graphic novels and stuff. I like to display things, and not to knock Comixology or any of that stuff. Are you on Comixology with this book?
No, not yet.
No.
We do need to make that leap, though. Because a lot of my books are such a low print run that we tend to miss. I feel like I miss the boat as far as print run versus the number of people who want the product tends to exceed greatly of the number of printed books that I put out. Example will be a 25 run, 35 run, 25 run. They sell out very quickly, and then I'll have 15, 20 people in my inbox saying, "Hey, how do I get a copy?" And I'm like, you don't.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. No, what I do is I'm like, well, it's kind of first come, first serve. I stay within a boundary that I feel comfortable with the book, and I'm like, but hey, guess what? I got another 90s homage coming. Feel free.
Yeah.
Here's when you can, go online and pre-order it. So I try to be fair in that aspect, but
it adds a cool aspect of exclusivity, though, and collectability to the book as well, especially for people who really like it.
Right. So I guess it's also an anti-90s book because it's not overly printed. Hopefully
I like
not.
where you went with that.
I hope that I don't find my book in 50-cent bins. A lot of my 90s books are in 50-cent bins, and I buy them every time I find them.
As you should.
Get
that product back up.
I
and then
buy
like,
them.
hey.
I found stacks before, and I
Really?
bought them. Yes. It's just funny to me because I'm like, I remember when that book came out and dropping, $4 or $5 a pop on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to take that stack and, I'm like, here, keep the change. Here's a 10 spot.
Yeah. And then you can put them back
copies
into the
of this.
world, dude. And then if
Right?
somebody happens to hit you up in the inbox about that, you're like, well, guess what? I came across another copy.
Yep.
You're in luck today.
Yep. It's insane how many people. Well, plus the age gap. We're talking about books that I had drawn 20 years ago.
Oh wow.
And you got collectors now who are 21, 22. They're oblivious to anything, that's not within the last 10 years of time span.
Yeah,
So.
it's the whole out of sight, out of mind. And I mean, I can appreciate some of these millennials for wanting to learn about 80s and 90s culture. They seem like they really like they enjoy it, but they can't relish in it in the same way that like Gen Xers or whatever actually can. People who lived through it as opposed to those who are just slowly discovering it. But I think that you could straddle the line once again and find people in older. I hate using the term older age groups, but and younger stuff as well. I mean, that's what some of the best created stuff can do. It can have that mass appeal, and it can hit both of those generations, which is cool.
True.
So,
True.
Well, awesome, man. Shelby, this has been a pleasure getting to speak with you again, dude.
Yeah.
Let's give them
Long time no see.
some. I know, right? I see you at least once a year at Phoenix Comic Con or whatever the hell they're calling it now.
Phoenix Fan Fest.
Yeah, or Phoenix Comic Fest.
I think it's actually forever going to be Phoenix Fan Fest now.
Yeah, San Diego just going after everybody. I'm wondering if Emerald
what,
City
though?
or some
It's
of these
just a
others
name.
are gonna. Yeah.
It's just a name. It's still the same event.
Yeah.
The only problem I see is people are acclimated to referring to it as Comic-Con.
Yeah, going to the con.
And what happens is a lot of the times they hear a different name and they don't associate it, so they don't attend. That's going to be, and that's just my personal opinion.
That's going to be one of the hurdles for them, yeah.
But now it's time to acclimate people to the new name and, advertise that heavily, I guess.
Do their damnedest. So. Well, awesome, man. Let's give some information about where people can actually obtain some of these awesome wares, whether a print or the comic book or any of that.
So I generally am fully stocked at shows, original artwork prints, limited prints, sketches, stuff like that. But for comics, AmericanDiscord.com, AmericanDiscord.com.
American Discord.
Yeah.
Badass, man.
It's spelled differently than it should be, but there's another reason for that.
Oh, well, now I'm curious what it is. Are you able to divulge?
I grew up listening to a lot of Discord records, Fugazi. being one.
And Ian.
Bands who were on the label. And I just, originally when I had created my company, I was looking at diamond solicitations, and I was like, I need a company with an A. I need to start my company's name with an A.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, ABC Comics, American Comics. I'm like, there's nothing cool sounding that starts with an A. We know this, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't even have a cool story about how I came up with it.
Yeah.
I just kind of ran with it. I made a logo, and
the rest is history. Over 20 years now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for American Discord, I think it's 15 or so.
Still, that is legit, man. You've proven yourself to have the sustainability. All too often we have little flashes in the pan of people who are creative, and they'll do it for a little bit, and then they jump off and, do something else
that's
or
another
whatever.
thing, too, is most of my IPs, I try to not be too fair-weathered about it.
No.
Even if
it
it's
is your own. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, but I mean, crappy sales doesn't mean crappy product. And
No,
that's,
not at all.
And that's kind of why I push a lot of this, is that I'm like, well, it's actually not bad.
No.
Trust me, I buy a lot of bad books, and I'm sure that their sales are phenomenal, but they're not good.
Yeah.
They're not good books, and so that's the thing too, is if you know it's good, get some opinions of others, and if they're telling you also that this project's good, why aren't people picking it up?
No.
And that's the kind of reception I've gotten on this, and that's one reason why I've continued to push the book. So.
Well, that's good, and honestly,
and
guys,
it's fun. It's fun to draw. I get to draw what I want on this thing.
Yeah.
Not,
And that's why it's important to actually spread the word to fellow friends and stuff who, if you read something you like, if you take a look at Shelby's book and you're down with it, spread the word on social media and various other places. If you're at the comic book store or whatever, you're like, hey, I don't know if it's is it in any stores, or is it just available exclusively through you?
I'm doing a lot of store exclusives right now.
Nice.
The dynamics of comics are changing a lot.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of groups. You're getting a lot of very small niche market run by like a particular small group, and they'll all kind of buy in on their own variant, or they'll all buy in on their own little thing, and that's kind of where I'm getting a lot of my business with the 94 series. Are these very much smaller groups who want their own just special experience with the book.
Yeah.
So they'll get their own cover, or they'll get their own, and I'm completely fine with that.
Back to the exclusivity
I'm
aspect
completely
that we were
fine with
discussing.
that.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are some hurdles in that as well, but it's not anything that's gonna hurt the book in the long run, I don't feel.
So if a fan went to their local comic store and asked them to order the book for you, would they?
That's why I have
that's
the
a possibility.
That's actually why I have the website.
Yeah.
I'm not distributed in Diamond with this project. I mean, obviously, Deadpool, Youngblood stuff, that's all in the stores.
Yeah.
But as far as this stuff, I consider the American Discord product specialty prop.
Okay.
The projects, the books, they're all things that I am self-distributing. I sign them, I mail them, I make sure they're shipped safely. I throw them in the top loaders and stuff, and they're packaged very nicely.
Yeah.
So I take a lot of care just to make sure that when the person gets their book, they're like, oh, it's minty fresh. It's not. It's not hammered up in some manila envelope. It comes in a box.
Yeah, I'm loving that riff on the McFarlane Spidey there, man. That's dope.
Yeah. Oh, so many McFarlane homages.
Yes.
And I got more coming.
Yeah, he's local here too.
I got more coming.
Yeah, Mr. I'm actually curious if he's going to get that Spawn movie done or not. The one that he keeps talking about.
I think
one
he will.
that he is allegedly directing too. So.
Yeah. I believe he will.
Yeah, Todd's the shit, and Shelby, you're the shit as well, sir. Thank you so very much for taking the time. I wouldn't still have his artwork hanging in my home for a reason, if not for the fact that it is just rad status, and I really dig your stuff, dude. So thanks for taking the time to talk to us here on The Horror Show. And American Discord, spelled Dischord. It's like a guitar chord or something, and Minor Threat were the shit. Yes. I'll leave it at that.
3-chord.
Yes.
Only
3. You don't need any more than that.
3-chord punk rock. Be millionaire.
Bad Religion was my jam growing up, man. That was my shit too. Even though that was not the whole East Coast hardcore. We're getting on a tangent here, and I know we're running low on time. So, Shelby, thanks again, man. And until next time, remember, folks, stay scared.